Hello students, welcome to the study portal. So today we are going to discuss about tissue processing and tissue processing steps under the histopathology. So let's start. What is tissue processing? So before starting our staining procedures in histopathology, we have to process our tissues. So let's discuss about it. So what is the meaning of tissue processing? So whenever we receive any kind of tissue in our laboratory, either as a tissue sample or as a whole organ, so we have to go through the certain steps like grossing, fixation, dehydration. So we are going to discuss about all these steps today. So what is tissue processing? So the term tissue processing refers to the treatment of the tissue. We have to do the treatment of the tissue. We have to do the gross examination of the tissue, treatment of the tissue, which is necessary to impregnate it into a solid medium, right? So that the tissue is rendered sufficiently firm yet elastic for the tissue sections of a desirable thickness to be cut on microtome. So basically, before staining and for the staining purpose, finally we want some thin tissue sections, like thin tissue sections. And we have to cut these sections with the help of the machine, which is known as microtome, right? So for this purpose, for this purpose, and to cut our sections into the thin slices, we have to first impregnate our tissue samples into a solid medium. So what will be that solid medium? We are going to discuss that also. So this is not only the technique employed for tissue sections. Sections can also be produced by means of cryostat or freezing microtome. So microtomy is not the only procedure. We have other options also, like cryostat and freezing microtome, right, on the frozen tissues. So let's discuss one by one. So what is the principle of tissue processing? The tissue is embedded into a solid medium by the help of first removing the tissue water. See, when we receive a tissue sample in the laboratory, so it has some water content in it, it has some fluid content in it. So before processing, proceeding the staining process, we have to remove all the water content and all the tissue content, all the fluid content from our tissue samples, and for that we have to do the dehydration step, right? Dehydration step. We will going to discuss this also in details. So with the help of the dehydration, we remove all the water and all the fluid content from the tissue sample before staining. So it is written over here that we have to remove the tissue water, which is then replaced. Obviously when we remove the water, so in that empty space we have to fill something. So in that empty space, we fill that space with the help of some solid medium. And what will be that solid medium? It will be the paraffin wax, right? Paraffin wax, in which we embed our tissues, right? So which is then replaced by any solid medium such as paraffin wax, as I have told you, such as paraffin wax, so that the tissue is rendered firm enough to enable thin sections to be cut. At the same time, the tissue is soft, not so hard, so that it enable microtome knife to cut the sections, right? We have to set our tissue specimen that it has not to be so hard or not so soft. It should be in the consistency so that it can be easily cut with the help of the microtome knife in the thin tissue sections, right? So embedding medium. Now what is embedding medium? The embedding medium has to thoroughly permeate the tissue in fluid form so that it solidifies without any damage to the tissue, right? First we have to take this embedding medium in a liquid form, so that we immerse our tissue in that liquid form and it fill that empty spaces, right, in order not to damage the tissue, right? The most satisfactory embedding medium which is used in routine histology is paraffin wax, as I have told you in the previous slide. So paraffin wax is the most satisfying embedding medium which we are used commonly in our histology lab, right, or histopathology lab. Most of the tissue fixatives are aqueous fixatives. So before the tissue can be embedded in paraffin wax, it is necessary that the water and some of the lipid tissue fluid be removed completely by a variety of compounds through a process called dehydration, as I've told you earlier. So we have to remove all the water or any kind of fluid or any kind of lipid tissue fluids with the help of the procedure dehydration, right? Let's move forward. So like this, see, when we embed our tissues in a liquid paraffin, and so that it will go into that empty spaces which we have removed, right, which from where we have removed all the fluid and all the water content, so that they are the empty spaces. So wax will fill those spaces and tissue is embedded like this. See this picture, this white space and this yellow spot. This yellow spot is our tissue, right, and this white area is our paraffin wax, right? So like this, our tissue is embedded in this paraffin wax, and like this we make a block, right? This is a whole block. This white area is the paraffin wax and this yellow circular area is our tissue which is embedded into the paraffin wax. And this hole is the microtome machine or microtome instrument. With the help of this microtome instrument, we can easily cut thin sections, very thin sections of our tissues, right, so that it will be ready for the further staining procedures, right? So this is the microtome. Here, see, here is also the area where we can fix our block of the embedded tissue into the plastic cassettes, and then here in this area there is a knife also. Knife is also attached in the microtome machine only. With the and with the help of this knife, the tissue sections will be cut, right? Now you can see the whole picture clearly like this. So this is our tissue which is embedded in the paraffin wax, right? Now tissue collection. Now let's go step by step. First you have to collect the tissue in the histopathology lab, and after that only you can go through all the procedures. So tissue collection, how many types of tissue collection are there in the histopathology lab? As I've already told you in the previous lectures, we receive tissue samples, or we receive samples in the histopathology lab in three forms, right? First is surgery, second is biopsy, and third is autopsy, right? Surgery, during the surgery, when surgeon cut the pieces of some kind of tumor or some kind of deformity and send it to the histopathology lab for the further diagnosis, right? So this is the surgery sample. Then we have a biopsy sample, right? What is the biopsy sample? A tissue section of a particular organ or a particular type of tumor. And then we have, or when we receive a whole organ as a specimen, right? Then autopsy. You can also say autopsy as a postmortem specimen, right? When patient dead, so after we have to go through a procedure known as postmortem. So in postmortem, we are going to diagnose the cause of the death, right? What is the cause of the death, and it will also helps in the medicine advancement. So this is autopsy, right? So we have three types of samples: surgery, biopsy, and autopsy, right? Now the tissue is removed from the body. Placed. These are the types of tissues, so it will obviously removed from the body. Then what next? Then we have to place our tissues in a fixative, right? In the fixative. Why we use fixatives? We have different kinds of fixatives, but the most commonly fixatives which are mostly and commonly used in histopathology lab is formalin, right? Formalin. 10% formalin. So with the help of the fixative, we can help it to prevent it from any kind of decay, any kind of microorganism, so that microorganisms cannot attack and cause another infection, right? So to prevent its original shape, its original size, all the margins clearly, and to prevent any kind of decay, we have to put our tissue specimen into the fixative, right? So after removing the tissue from the body, we have to place it into the fixative, which stabilizes the tissue to prevent decay, right? Then the most common fixative is formalin, 10% formaldehyde. Now, gross examination. So first you collect the tissue, you remove the tissue specimen from the body, receive into your histopathology lab. Then what you have to do the next, then next step will be fixative. You have to put your tissue into the fixative as AB, so that you have to prevent it from the decay. Now what will be the next step before staining? You have to go through a gross examination procedure, right? You have to gross examine your tissue sections. In gross examination, you can also say in simple language, macroscopic examination. What is macroscopic examination? In any laboratory, when we have to diagnose any kind of specimen, so we are going to perform two types of diagnosis, two types of examination. First is macroscopic, and second one is microscopic, right? So before microscopic examination, we also have to go through the macroscopic examination, that we have to observe our specimen with our naked eyes and observe, is there any kind of disability, any kind of abnormality, we can say with our naked eyes also. So we have to note it down, and then we'll proceed to the further steps, right? We have to check the color, we have to check the consistency. If there is a fluid sample, so we have to check the whether the fluid is clear, whether it is turbid, or whether it contains some blood also. So we have to do all the macroscopic examination before the microscopic examination. We have to check whether the border or margins of the tissues are regular or irregular. Suppose we have this liver, suppose this is a liver organ as a specimen, as which I have received in the histopathology lab. So I have to check the size, I have to check the color, I have to check the margins, is their margins are regular or irregular, right? And I have to note it down and make a proper notes. I have to maintain the proper data of all these findings, right, which I have observed with my naked eyes, right? So you have to go through the gross examination. So let's read. Describing the specimen, right? Describing, you have to describe the whole specimen, as I have told you. Like you have to describe, like this is the liver. First you have to know that this is the liver, and this is the size, this is the color, right? One more important thing with the specimen, always whenever you have received any kind of specimen in the lab, so always the specimen will, you receive specimen along with the requisition form, right? Requisition form. You always receive a sample in the histopathology lab or in any lab along with the requisition form. Without requisition form, you will never accept the sample, you will reject the sample. What is this requisition form contains? It contains all the information about the sample, about the patient, right? What is the age of the patient, what type of surgery he or she is going through, is there any clinical history before the surgery, right? What type of, and the tissue name also, like if they send the liver tissue, it is written over here. If we receive kidney tissue, if they send kidney tissue, so they will mention it over here in the requisition form, that this is a kidney tissue, or it is a breast tissue, or it is a liver tissue, along with the name and along with the details of the patient, right? So we always have to check, is their requisition form is there or not, all the details are clearly filled or not. After that only we will receive the sample, and then we'll do gross examination by our own, right? So what is gross examination? Describing the specimen and placing all or parts of it, right? Either we can receive the whole organ, suppose liver or kidney, or either we receive a certain part of the liver, right? So we have to describe and placing all or either part of it into a small plastic cassette, which we have seen in the embedding section, which hold the tissue while it is being processed to a paraffin block, right? When we are processing our tissue into the paraffin and make a paraffin block, so during that procedure we have to take something which holds the tissue all this time. So we have a plastic cassette to hold the tissue during our paraffin block making, right? Then initially the cassettes are places into the fixative, because we have to prevent it also from any kind of decay, right? Then we have to do the proper identification and orientation of the specimen. As I have told you, you have to identify what type of specimen is it, what you have observed in this specimen. Then unlabeled specimen should never be processed, you should never process any kind of specimen which is unlabeled. If there is no requisition form and if there is no gross examination, so that kind of specimen will never be processed, right? After properly completed histopathology requisition form containing patient's name, age, as I have told you that a properly completed histopathology requisition form will always be there, right? And what it contains patient's name, age, sex, relevant clinical data, surgical findings also, and nature of the operation, as I've told you what kind of operation is going on and what kind of surgery is going on, and name of the tissue submitted. As I've told you, name of the tissue is also written over there, what type of tissue is submitted to the lab, right? Then careful search and examination of all the tissues submitted in order. So you have to place it in a order wise along with their requisition form, whichever you have received, and whichever the samples are submitted into the histopathology lab. So you have to arrange it in a order and then start your further processing, right? Then like this you can perform gross examination, right? Suppose this is a whole organ we have received, or part of the organ we have received. So you can see like there is some cavities we can see, right? There is some discoloration we can observe, right? Here margins are not regular, so we can write irregular margins are there. See, so like this, you whatever you have observed, you have to mention it and record it, right? So like this, you have to perform a gross examination and then cut it into the small pieces to process your further procedures, right? Now next step will be the fixation. You receive the sample, you're done with your gross examination, right? Now you have to fix your tissue. Why we need fixative? As I've already told you before, that to preserve the tissue permanently. You can also preserve your tissue permanently, not for few hours or few days. We can preserve our any organ or any tissue permanently with the help of the fixatives. As in the anatomy department in various medical colleges or research centers, they can always preserve that many kind of organs permanently with the help of the fixative. Fixatives always maintain their original shape and size, and it prevents it from the any kind of decay, right? So to preserve tissues permanently for our references, for the study purpose, for the research purpose, right? Fixation should be carried out as soon as possible after the removal of the tissue or soon after the death to prevent the autolysis, right? So we have to fix our tissues as up to prevent autolysis and any kind of bacterial attack, and to fix tissues so that they will not change their volume and shape during the processing, right? So during the processing, we have to prevent its shape, its volume, its color, everything. We need the sample in its original form, so we have to fix it before the processing, right? Then like this, you have a glass container like this, and there is a liquid form. This is your fixative, like formalin, 10% formalin, right? This is the forceps. All forceps, obviously you will not touch the any kind of specimen with your bare hands. You always have to wear all the necessary PPE kits. Always you have to wear the gloves, right? So with the help of the forceps, like these are the tissue samples. So there are various tissue samples like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the tissue samples you have received in the histopathology lab. You have done with the gross examination, and now you have to fix these samples, right? So you have to put these samples into the fixative, and then finally you have to make your blocks with the help of these plastic cassettes, right? So like this you will fix your tissues. Now next, now processing the tissue. Now embed the tissue in a solid medium which is firm enough to support the tissue and give the sufficient rigidity to enable thin sections to be cut and yet soft enough to damage the knife of the tissues. So after the fixatives, now we have to embed the embedded, right, which we have also discussed previously. So like this. So these are the stages of processing. So that was the first step. Like you received the sample, you done the gross examination, right? You done with the what you have done, that you have to cut the pieces, then you have to done with the fixations. Then these are the steps you have to perform. You have to dehydrate the sample, you have to clear the sample, infiltration and impregnation. Then you have to embed the sample. After embedding, you have to cut the sections, right? Then staining and mounting. So let's discuss it one by one. So dehydration, as I've already told you, to remove any kind of water and any kind of fluid content from the tissue, we have to dehydrate it. So this is the correct order. So tissue blocks are placed in the cassettes, right? So these tissues are passed through a series of increasing concentration. You always have to remember, because during our staining procedure, we again have to rehydrate our samples, right? Rehydrate our samples. So for dehydration, we have to put our samples in the increasing concentration of alcohol, and to rehydrate the sample, we have to put our samples into the decreasing order, right? Decreasing order. So for dehydration, we have to pass through an increasing concentration of alcohol, like 2 baths in 80%, first 80%, then 90%, then 100%. So this is the increasing order, right? So first you have to put your slides in 2 baths of 80% alcohol for 1 hour. Then in 90% alcohol, 1 bath in 90% alcohol again for 1 hour, and then increasing order, as we follow the increasing order, then we have to do the 3 baths in 100% alcohol again for 1 hour, right? So this is how you perform your dehydration. Then like this, you have glass containers like this, and you have different concentration of alcohols, right? Different concentration of alcohols in these containers, right? So like this is 50%, this is 70%, 90%, 100%, like this. So you have different concentration of alcohol, or any kind of reagents or solutions. Like this only you have to perform your procedure in the histopathology lab. So first you have to put your sample here, then you have to put your sample here, right? Whatever in the necessary timings, like when we have to put in 90% alcohol for 1 hour. So suppose like this is the 90% alcohol, you have to put your slides here for 1 hour, then you have to remove the slides and put into this container for another 1 hour, and so on, right? So this cycle goes on. So like this, you have to first put your slides into the first container for the necessary time, then you have to remove your slides, then you have to again put your slides into the next container for the necessary timings, right? So this is how you have done with your dehydration. Now what will be the next step? Clearing. So when we done dehydration step, so we have to remove any excess alcohol, right? So now we have to clear our sample. So the most common clearing agent which we have used in the histopathology lab is the xylene, right? Obviously we have other clearing agents also, but this is the most commonly used. So during dehydration, water in the tissue has been replaced by alcohol, right? This is the motto we have to, that's why we are doing the dehydration step. So alcohol should be replaced by paraffin wax now. Ultimately we have to fill the paraffin wax in the empty spaces, right? So we also have now we also have to replace this alcohol also. So as a paraffin wax is not alcohol soluble, right? So we replace alcohol with a substance in which wax is soluble, right? So for that we have a reagent xylene or chloroform, benzene, carbon tetrachloride also. Procedure, what will be the procedure? You have to do the 2 baths in clearing agent, which is a xylene, for 1 hour, right? So this is how you have to clear your slides. Now infiltration and impregnation, there are the 2 terms are written over here, infiltration and impregnation. So you have to understand the meaning of these 2 terms. See, clearing agent is eliminated from the tissue by diffusion in the surrounding melted wax. Infiltration, see, first we dehydrate our tissues, so water content is removed and replaced by the alcohol, right? Then we clear our tissues, so alcohol is replaced by the xylene, right? Now we have to infiltrate it with the help of the melted paraffin wax. So it infiltrate into the tissues, right? We put our tissue into the melted wax. So this is the meaning of the infiltration. Now see, clearing agent is eliminated from the tissue by diffusion. Now we diffuse our tissue into the melted wax. This is the meaning of the infiltration. Now clearing agent is replaced again, and now melted wax is filled into that empty spaces, right? So infiltration. Now diffuse the tissue by replacing the xylene, impregnation. So now when we impregnate our tissue into the melted wax, so wax will getting embedded into the tissues and fill these waxes, right? So this is the step of impregnation. It enters into the tissue, so diffuses into the tissue by replacing the xylene, which is known as impregnation. What will be the procedure? You have to replace the xylene with the paraffin, right? So for that, 2 baths in the melted paraffin wax first for 1 hour. Then what will be the temperature? Because here I use the word melted paraffin, you have to put your specimen into the melted paraffin. So what will be the temperature? So the temperature of the paraffin oven should be over 50 to 56 degrees Celsius, right? Then remove all the bubbles. Always remove all the bubbles, so that any bubble cannot take the space of empty space. We have to fill all the empty space with the melted wax, not with the air bubbles, right? Because it will again interfere in the microscopic examinations. So now embedding, cassettes and blocking. Here cassettes and blockings are there. Plastic cassettes. So the infiltrated and impregnated tissue is placed in a warm liquid paraffin, right? Which forms a firm block after cooling. Obviously, when we put our sample into the liquid paraffin, and when we remove it, and when we allow it to cool, so it will become a hard box, right? Then what is the procedure? Paraffin wax is first melted at 56 to 58 degrees Celsius and filtered through the course of filter paper, right? Then fill the mold with paraffin. Place the tissue in the mold. Now we have to give the shape to our tissue into a kind of mold like this, right? For that we have empty molds, so we have to put our tissues into this so it can take the shape of that molds, right? The mold is then placed in a container of cold water or kept in a refrigerator for 10 to 20 minutes, so it becomes hard and it becomes a permanent block, right? Now this is how we done embedding. This is again the microtome machine. See, this is the container, or this is a mold into which we fix our tissue, right? Like this. And finally, see, this is the cassette, or you can say the mold. Into this mold we fill all the paraffin, liquid paraffin and melted paraffin along with our tissue, and finally we have like this. We have a embedded tissue like this. This area, this blackish area is our tissue which we have to diagnose, right? And this white area this is the paraffin wax around our specimen, right? This is the wax area around our tissue which makes a block, and this is our tissue sample, right? So finally you receive a sample block or paraffin block like this, right? Now sectioning. Now you have to do the sectioning of your block, embedded block. So cut biological specimens into very thin sections for microscopy, again which I've already told you, which we have done with the help of the microtomy, right? So what is the procedure? We have to trim the white block with a knife until 1 to 3 mm of paraffin remains all the sides of the tissue. Obviously when you put your block or the mold into the paraffin wax, so it will make like this. So paraffin will take the place around the mold also, right? So first we have to trim all the extra wax, right? This is the block, and when we put it into the melted paraffin, so paraffin will take place here around the block also. So this is the extra paraffin. So first we have to trim all the extra paraffin around the block, then fix the block into the block holder, which I have shown you into the microtome machine. There is a holder into the microtome machine in which we have to fix our mold. So we have to fix our block into the block holder into the microtome, right? Insert tightly a knife in the knife holder. There is also a space into the microtome machine only, which I've already shown you for the knife also. So we have to tightly fix our knife in the knife holder with the proper position. Then cut the sufficient sections. So when we start that microtome, so it will cut the perfect sections of these blocks, like knife will over here, right? And it will cut the thin sections of our block. Now frozen sectioning, there is also another procedure also, as we have read in the introduction area. There is a frozen section or cryostat techniques also. So here the frozen section is a technique in which tissue is frozen, right, rapidly at the temperature of -20 degrees Celsius, not 20, -20 degrees Celsius, and the sections are cut and stained. Like, see, tissues can be examined microscopically within 5 to 10 minutes of its removal from the body. So what is the advantage of frozen section? You see over here that we can stain our tissue after removal of the body within 5 to 10 minutes. So it saves our times, right? This is the advantage of this technique. It reduces the time of processing from 18 hours to 5 minutes. So it is a huge difference, right? From 18 hours to 5 minutes. So it is a big difference. So it saves our time of tissue processing, right? After sectioning, next steps will be the staining and mounting, right? Which you have studied in your further units, which is a staining procedures of histopathology. So there you come to know all the stainings which are done in the histopathology and all the classification of the stainings in the histopathology. As we have a classification of staining, we have routine staining, we have special staining. So routine staining, which we have done normally in our histopathology lab, is H&E staining, right? Hematoxylin and eosin staining. So you will read about all the staining procedures in the further units, right? So this is till sectioning you have done. After that, what is the procedure? You have to section it into the thin sections, and then next step will be the staining and mounting, and then you will ready with your tissue for the microscopic examination, right? This is the block. See, this area, right? This area is the plastic mold or cassette, right? Here this white area is the paraffin, right? And this brownish area is our tissue, which is perfectly embedded in the paraffin, right? And like this, we have to trim all the extra paraffin. Now this area only we have left with the paraffin, and this is our tissue. Now this is ready to cut into the thin sections with the help of the microtomy, right? So now here our tissue is perfectly embedded into the paraffin wax, right? So till now we have read all the tissue processing step, from the sample collection, types of collection, till the frozen section and cutting sections, right? And then our tissue is ready for the staining procedures. But this is the manual method till now what we have read, right? We have also the automatic tissue processing also available. So what we have to done in automatic tissue processing, there is a whole machine which contains a multiple container with multiple solutions over there, and which move roundly. And for you, first you have to, what you have to do, there is a multiple container in the automatic tissue processing machine, and all the containers contain all the necessary reagents and solutions which we have to fill it, and then we have to simply put our sample into the machine, and it will run overnight. And then when the next morning you have come, so your tissues are processed already and it is ready for the further staining procedures, right? You have to put your slides or put your sample into the one container, then it will automatically see, this is the one container, it will automatically change from this container to this container, then this to this container. So it will automatically change their positions and you will get the processed tissue next morning, right? So let's read. Place the solution and paraffin in respective beakers, right? As I've told you, there are respective containers of beakers, there are number of beakers over there into the machine of the equipment. So the timing lever is set at 0. First you have to set it 0 and the machine started at the required time. When you leaving the lab, first you have to set it at the 0, right? And when you leave the lab, you can start accordingly, that this much time it will take, and next morning I will be come at this timing. So accordingly you can set your timings, right? So the basket with the cassettes automatically change position. As I've told you, they automatically change position from one beaker to the another beaker. So basket with the cassettes automatically change position and takes a bath into different reagents. It will automatically takes the bath into the different reagents by their own, which is kept into the beakers in order. Obviously you have to put all the solutions and all the reagents in the order to accomplish dehydration, clearing, infiltration in the final dip in the warm paraffin. So from dehydration till the dip into the warm paraffin, all the procedures will be completed by their own, right? So cassettes are open next day morning for embedding. Now you can see till the dip into the warm paraffin is completed into the machine also. Now you have to remove it, embed it, and you have now your tissue is completed for the sectioning, right? Now it is ready for the sectioning. Now you can take your sections and then proceed further. See, so till here you have your block. Next morning you have your block in you have your tissue into the melted paraffin bags. So now you have to remove it, embed it, cool it down, and now you have a perfect block like this. See, you have your tissue sections into the melted beaker. So you have to cool it down, you have to make a block like this, and now you are ready to cut the sections from this type of block, and you can proceed with your further staining and mounting procedures. And now you can done with your staining procedures. After that you have to observe microscopically what are the abnormalities or what kind of diseases are present into the specimen, right, and report it. So this is all for this unit. Now in the next unit we will continue with the staining procedures. Okay, thank you and have a great day.